Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bridgewater Township Council meeting of August 21st. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, the adequate notice of this meeting was provided on December 10th, 2024, and by sending written notice and electronic notice to the Courier News and the Breeze, posting on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the township clerk. May we have the roll call, please?
Councilman Kirsch?
Here.
Councilman Cardilla? Here. Councilman Perdoso? Councilman Ring? Here. President Nogales?
Yes. Councilman Credilla, would you please lead us in the pledge? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have minutes of July 24th, 2025, regular session for approval. Has everyone had an opportunity to opine on them?
I'll make a motion if there's no
We have
other
a motion.
questions.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Township Council reports. Could we start with Councilman Credilla, please?
At this meeting, I have no report.
Thank you. Tim, would you,
Sure.
Give your report.
Very brief report. If anybody is not aware, the governor declared a state of emergency earlier today due to Hurricane Erin. While Erin is anticipated to stay well off of our coast, if anyone is at or near the beach over the next couple of days, conditions in the ocean are going to be extremely rough, and the recommendation is to stay out of the water. So if someone's going away or spending the weekend at the shore, please be sensitive to that. And that's my report.
seeing those waves on the news look pretty horrific.
Yeah.
Michael, your report, sir.
Yes, just three brief items. On August 12th, the zoning board met, continued to hear the case on 202-206 for age-restricted townhomes. That's associated with the JCC that has a border to that property. The application now calls for 64 units, 13 of which would be affordable, all of which would be age-restricted. I believe that case is going to be heard again in October, but I'm not 100% sure of that. On Friday, I had the privilege of attending one of my favorite Bridgewater events, the Senior Citizen event and lunch acknowledging National Senior Citizen Day. I delivered brief remarks on behalf of the mayor and the council, particularly acknowledged some volunteers, the staff over there do an outstanding job, and also stated the value that all those in the room have played, do play, and will continue to play in Bridgewater, and how much they are appreciated by our community. And then the planning board met Tuesday and had two cases. A second floor addition was approved for Roman Jewelers over toward the mall. And over Thor Technologies, part of the Center of Excellence, there was an extension granted for a previous approval, and then action was also taken on what we will discuss in a short time, the public hearings on 10A and 10B, the master plan consistency reviews. That's my report.
Thank you, sir. My report, I'm in receipt of a detailed correspondence from Kevin Coakley, partner in the Connell Foley Law Firm, requesting an area in need of development or study for two properties located on US 2206. Specifically, these are residential properties in the R40 zone at 1154 and 1162 US 202-206 on the west side of the street in the vicinity of the Santa Fe USA campus. These are non-contiguous properties with a combined size of 3.2 acres. Copies of the documents were provided to Township Attorneys Corsini and Sabo. I have given my copy to Administrator Pappas for further township study. Also received a copy of a letter from Senator Doug Steinhardt to Mayor Mensch conveying the senator's concern for a long-term issue about the New Jersey transit maintenance and operations in the borough of Raritan adjacent to our Bradley Gardens section. Idling locomotives and other transit activities are contributing to noise and pollution. To quote the senator, the state's failure and refusal to respond timely or not at all to the legitimate and persistent health, safety, and welfare of your residents is appalling and unsurprising. This is an issue that goes back to well over a decade, to a time when I attended Raritan Valley Rail Coalition meetings, at that time chaired by Peter Palmer. I was at the Patriot Stadium last night as a guest of RWJ Somerset Hospital Foundation for a scheduled game against the Hartford Yard Goats. That's a heck of a name. The game was canceled due to rain around 7:30, with the players never leaving the dugouts. But while awaiting the game to be called, a Bridgewater resident approached me and said, "It looks like North Bridge Street is open to traffic. Did the water company complete its work?" His second question was, are they going to repave? I did talk to Engineer Burr today. They have American Water has completed laying the main, but they have yet to sanitize it sufficiently so they can start connecting those adjacent facilities. They did a massive purge last night. I have no idea what transpired or what was.
They were digging all day till 5:30 tonight.
Okay. Well, then their standard operating time is, I guess, 8 to 4. And after that time, the street is open, but it is in disrepair. There is a promise or a commitment that they will repave curb to curb when it's completed, but I've been put on notice that might not be this year. It might be for next year. Mr. Pappas, is there any more on that one?
The only thing that I have been told is there had been the commitment that that would be completed before Labor Day. And just the other day, we heard rumor that that deadline may not be met. So I contacted Paul McCall, the County Public Works Director, because North Bridge Street is a county road. And I told him the rumor that I had heard and asked that he would try to schedule a meeting between the county, their contractor, New Jersey American Water, and their contractor, I should say, and township and the school district, to communicate to all of the interested parties what the timeline, realistic timeline is. So that was just the other day, and I have not heard back from him yet.
Okay.
There's, sorry,
Go ahead.
some scuttlebutt in the neighborhood that there's a challenge with the proximity of one of the water pipes to a gas pipe, and that is why it's been slowed down. But I know when New Jersey American Water came in, they made a lot of commitments, and overall I think they've tried, but tonight's a great example where that road literally at 5:30 was just being opened, and we communicate to the public that it's a 9 to 4 closure. And I think, I feel like if they're going to work till 5:30, there's people that come home expecting to be able to travel down that road. And I feel like if they're going to keep the road closed till 5:30, we should be notified and be able to push out a nixle to say, due to some challenges, the road's not opening until approximately X time.
Right, yeah.
So I just share that.
Mr. Pappas, should we hold the mayor's report until he caught?
That'd be great. Thank you.
Good. Proclamations, we have none. Presentation, item 8, NJ New Jersey Department of Transportation, Prince Rogers. Now, we have with us a whole contingent of NJDOT folks, led by Patience Singbury. Patience, would you like to share a few words about the project and introduce any of the presenters as you see fit, please?
Absolutely. Can we hear me? Yes. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Patience Singby. I work in the Office of Government and Community Relations within New Jersey Department of Transportation. I work alongside Eileen Sosa. Today, we are here to present the Prince Rogers Bridges over Route 287. The project is spearheaded by Prithvi Patel and Jae-yoon Jin. We ask that you reserve all of your questions and comments for the end. If you have any questions and comments that occur to you after this presentation, my contact information can be found at the end of the slide. Thank you once again for having us.
Thank you. Proceed with your program, please.
Suzanne?
Yeah, she's got it up.
No, it's not up on the side monitors. One. There we go.
If you could keep the microphone close.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, the little green light needs to be up on the mic.
It's on.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You can hear me?
Yep, just stay close.
Okay. Thank you, Patience. Good evening, councilmen. Good evening, township officials, and good evening, all the township representatives. I'm here. I'm Prithvi Patel, project manager from Department of New Jersey Department of Transportation. Thank you, and I really appreciate to give us an opportunity to present this project of bridge deck replacement at Prince Rogers Avenue, bridges over Route 287. As you can see on this slide, today's agenda will cover the introductions of NJDOT team, and then we will go over to the project overview, including project background, the existing conditions, and then we'll go towards proposed constructions, proposing the detours, following the next steps, and following with open discussion and questions. As I mentioned, I am project manager from NJDOT, Prithvi Patel. With me, I have Jay Yoon, who is assisting me managing this project, who is an assistant project manager. And then I have Rongdu Lu on my backside, who is the lead designer and NJDOT project coordinator. And then we have structural engineers, Andrew Brennan and Michael Wilcox, present over here from NJDOT. We also have Robert Abids, who's a roadway design unit manager. And then we also have designer assisting Rongdu Lu, Andrew Watson, over here. As you can see on this slide, it shows the location of the project. The project consists of 2 bridges through Prince Rogers Avenue over Route 287 along at milepost 16.92 along Route 287. This slide highlights primary goals of the project. The major goal is to replace the deck, improving the structurally deficient condition and ensure the long-term safety. It will also include repairing substructure and superstructure to address existing deterioration, extending the service life of the bridges. Additionally, we will be relocating the bridge-mounted sign structure and proposing two overhead sign structures along Route 287 northbound. The project goal also includes minimizing impacts to social, economical, and environmental resources. Our goal is to ensure that this project not only is successful in long term, but also manageable and safe during construction. This slide shows an overview of a project delivery process of a New Jersey Department of Transportation. Being a limited scope of this project, we are approaching with a faster delivery process, and currently we are in a final design phase. Following would be the construction phase. This slide highlights the points discussed in the past meetings with local officials. We had our initial meeting for this project during a concept development phase. The township suggested closing both the bridges entirely during that meeting and during the construction and implementing a full detour. Township also recommended using Woodlawn Avenue during the detour. You would see these suggested items in the following slides. We had a very recent meeting during a final design phase, and we discussed the detour and the staging plans with the council, with the township. Township recommended to have an in-person PIC. Now we will go over briefly bridge overview. This slide shows the existing conditions of the bridge. As you can see, the bridge has two 15-foot lanes, one in each direction. It also has 6 feet of sidewalk on both the sides. The out-to-out width of the bridges is 14 feet and half inch, with the curb-to-curb width is 30 feet. The bridge also has a curved-top chain link fence mounted on the concrete bridge parapet. As you can see in the pictures, there is deterioration to the deck and patches that has been maintained. The bridges were built in 1963, and the overall length of each bridge is 115 feet. It is separated by an I-287 median with a distance of 68 feet. With that, we have a proposal for construction which includes a deck replacement for both the structures, for both the bridges, superstructure and substructure repairs. We will be raising the profile by 2 inches along the structure. We will be removing an old existing sign structure that is attached to a structure 1813161. And we will be adding 2 overhead sign structures along Route 287 northbound. And additionally, we'll be adding guide rail along Route 287. This is our preferred staging, which is one-stage construction. In this staging, we will be demolishing the entire bridge in one stage and construct it entirely in that stage. The proposed section would have 6-foot sidewalk. It would have 4 feet of shoulder in each direction and 11 feet of lanes in each direction. With this staging, there will be detours for vehicular and pedestrian traffic. The anticipated construction time for this staging is 13 months. However, we also have come up with an alternate staging plan, which states 2 stages of construction, in which in the first stage, we will be demolishing the westbound and having a pedestrian sidewalk open during the construction. In the second stage, we will demolish the other half and then transfer the pedestrian traffic to the westbound with a newly constructed sidewalk. And then we'll have a proposed section, similarly as before, with 6 feet of sidewalk in each direction, 4 feet of shoulder, and 11 feet of lanes in each direction. With this staging, we will still have a vehicular detour during construction. However, we can have pedestrian access during construction. The anticipated construction time is 18 months if we go with alternate staging. The utilities that's been impacted within the project limits during construction would be an electric pole and a PSENG live gas main line. Additional utility within the project limits is the Township of Bridgewater sewer utility. As you can see in this slide, there is an existing electric pole, and we intend to relocate this pole behind a beam guide rail. This is located on the northeast approach of the Prince Rogers Bridge. There is a PSENG gas main line underneath the bridge, which will be relocated during the construction. In this slide, you can see an existing sign that has been attached to the structure at the parapet. We will be removing this structure, and there will be 2 new proposed overhead sign structures. Approximate locations are shown in green pinpoints over here. I'll just go back to a slide. Initial signs had only one sign with 1 mile exit at 1 mile from 78 East. There will be 2 sign structures, one at 1.5 miles and other at 0.75 miles from exit for 78 East exit. Detours. The vehicular traffic will be detoured through Northbridge Street and through Woodlawn Avenue, considering both the staging plans. The average annual daily traffic is 5726 vehicles per day, and the projected 2040 average annual daily traffic will be 7,036 vehicles per day. If considering the preferred alternative with a single stage construction, the pedestrian traffic will be detoured via Northbridge Street. With preferred one-stage construction, the anticipated detour for vehicles and pedestrians will be 13 months. And if we go for alternate staging, where we anticipate vehicle detour of 18 months. As you can see on this slide is a map of a vehicular detour through North Bridge Street. The vehicles can go in both has both the direction access through North Bridge Street, while the Prince Rogers Bridge is closed for construction. This shows the detour plan through Woodland Avenue. As previous, this path also has both direction movements for vehicular traffic, while the Prince Rogers is closed for construction. These are the traffic signals that would be impacted during the detour of vehicles through Northbridge Street and Woodland Avenue. While considering one-stage construction, the pedestrian detour will be through Northbridge Street. We have a schematic here. If a pedestrian goes from school to a commercial complex, that is Bridgewater Commons here, the average walking time from Prince Rogers is 21 minutes, while if they take Northbridge Street, it would be 28 minutes. And similarly, for anyone traveling from residential area, it takes about 16 minutes from Prince Rogers Avenue, which would extend to 26 minutes if taken through Northbridge Street. Why we are considering the preferred staging plan? We have a pedestrian detour benefits highlighted over here. First is safety. If pedestrians and bicyclists would be kept further away from the work zone, it would reduce the chances of accidents and interference. Second is long-term performance. With fewer construction joints exposed to weather, road, salt, it improves long-term performance of new bridges components. And the control of work. With single stage of construction, it would simplify inspection requirements during the construction. Project schedule. As mentioned earlier, we have 2 critical utilities impacted for this project. The utility coordination with specific utility companies is underway. The final design coordination and final design plan development is underway. The anticipated construction award for this project is winter 26-27. With the detour plans explained previously, anticipated vehicular and pedestrian detour, if we opt for a preferred staging plan that is one-stage construction, is 13 months. However, if we go for an alternate staging plans where we allow vehicular detour and no pedestrian detour, it would be 18 months. The next steps for these projects are: final plans will be sent to NJDOT SMEs and the local officials to review by early fall 2026. We would require a project support letter for detour plans from Bridgewater Township. We will circulate the meeting minutes after the meeting. And as requested, we will have an in-person pre-con PIC, that is Public Information Center, that will be scheduled. And now I have it open for questions.
Okay, open for questions from council. Alan, we'll start with you.
The first question I have is, the first slide showed that there were discussions 7 years ago in 2018. My question is that how long something like this takes, or why has it taken 7 years to get to this point?
So in 2018, the concept development phase for this project was started, typically as per process for capital program delivery process that New Jersey Department follows. It takes about 2 years for a concept development, and then it goes to final design phase. With that, we still have fundings that we need to secure, and then there are projects that lines up for the funding. However, we also go over the inspection reports, and we look for which critical projects comes up for the funding. And for this project, it kickstarted the final design phase, that is after the concept development phase, in 2024.
When this started in 2018, was it due to an inspection that showed
Yes.
failure on the bridge?
Not failure. It's not considered as a failure of the bridge, but as I mentioned, it's structurally deficient condition of the deck.
It could very well be. I'm just surprised. We're talking about something that was identified 7 years ago, and I'm surprised that it takes this long to address something. I'm thinking could it have been less work to be done if we did it 5 years ago?
Apparently, we go with so when the concept development phase was started, we have a concept development report which has preferred alternatives. We go with that, and we also checked recent inspection report. There is no major damage after that. There would be, but nothing that shows in poor conditions or any critical conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Tim.
Thank you. Can you please go back to the pedestrian detour slide?
Sure, I can.
Not sure if it's... So, as I look at that, what concerns me on this particular detour is the area, not on Prince Rogers, but on the other bridges over 287 in the orange there. That intersection coming off of 22, on your proposed detour, you kind of just have the pedestrians walking at an angle across the highway, the way the lines are drawn. And I guess really where I'm going with that is, and this is a county road, and the county would have to be involved, but I think if we're going to create a pedestrian detour that way, it needs to be a little more defined crosswalk with signage, and how pedestrians would cross in that intersection with people coming off the highway at high rates of speed. It's a little concerning.
Okay, I'd like to have, Romelu, can you explain the investigation we did for Northwest Street, which has access for pedestrian?
Wait for the microphone, please.
Along the North Bridge Street, there is all sidewalk.
Yes. And you have a purple line coming down the street, and then it just diagonally crosses the road, but there's no crosswalks in that area.
Is this place? This place?
Yeah, how is one going to cross in the middle of that? So you have cars coming off of Route 22. They're decelerating from 55 plus miles an hour onto North Bridge Street.
This is a local business. It's not across the 22.
But, okay, your purple line is on the east side of North Bridge Street.
Oh, no, this is like it's just sketch, just a sketch. Because we have the North Bridge Street in which direction? This is supposed to westbound. Westbound, there's both sides, both sides have sidewalk. So
Okay.
Along the westbound, there's sidewalk, and there's a make right turn, which is for the local business area. There's sidewalk. It's
Understand.
Sidewalk area.
Okay, but you're just showing them on the east side and, okay.
Oh, no, just on the Google, you just sketch show. It's not exactly location shows. Sorry.
Okay. So a 13-month closure, obviously covers the course of a full year, but what concerns me there is the potential impact to the Bridgewater Commons Mall. And by that, this is not just, for a good chunk of the year, this is a Bridgewater immediate area neighborhood, but how does somebody that comes to the mall from outside the Bridgewater area to do holiday shopping over the Christmas season, how will they be made aware, whether it's through variable message boards on 287 or whatever the case may be, that there's this detour? Didn't mean to make you speechless.
Tough question. Actually, yeah, we didn't expect they put any signs on the 287 or 202.
So I'm coming from Middlesex County. I'm coming north on 287, or I'm coming up 202, 206 from Flemington. People come. I live not far from here. I know what Prince Rogers Avenue is like the couple weeks leading into Christmas with traffic into the mall. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have people that are used to going that way from outside the area. Correct. How are they going to know about the detour?
The Prince Rogers Road, Rogers Avenue, is served as connected to the North Bridge Street and the Commons Way. This is connecting this side. If it's outside coming through North Bridge Street, we have the detour closed here. You have put a sign. Okay, this is one direction.
So they're going to come off, they're going to have to get all the way up to Prince Rogers and make a U-turn and come back.
No, we will not make a U-turn. Let them U-turn. You have both detour for the vehicle. If you're coming this way, originally you need to make a right turn. We will put a sign here. This road is closed. You will go through the Commons Way and use Woodlawn Avenue coming back. You will not make U-turn. This is in region control.
Sir, there needs to be signage on Route 22 and other area roads before they get to that area so they can plan their route. You can potentially reduce.
Yeah, proceed, would you change? I didn't load all the signage for this one. Yeah, for our detour plan, we will show all the signs. It's not this one. It's not this one. You didn't show here because I will show the general. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, this is a good one. So these two detour, you will keep the sign, keep the sign for both detours. So both detours will be ineffective during the construction time.
Am I making sense, Mr. Pappas?
Yeah, I had, when we had the virtual meeting with these folks back in April, after that I spoke to Mr. Troy Fisher, who's the general manager of the mall, and made him aware of this. Actually, I had invited him. He wasn't sure he could make it. But obviously, we're concerned, and they're concerned about the potential impact. And I think what the councilman is saying, sir, is I think there needs to be consideration to put signage maybe on the highways, on Route 22, on Interstate 287, because as he said, there are people that take the interstate to get to the mall that are not going to be familiar with these
You need
detours.
to utilize the variable message boards to actually inform drivers.
Yeah, we can do it. You can do it, yep.
And I guess my last question, and I travel outside of New Jersey a lot. I go up to upstate New York. They will do a project like this, and they will keep that road open 24/7 with two-way traffic by installing temporary traffic lights on each side of the project. They'll do half the deck, and then they'll move to the other side and move the traffic lights. Is that something New Jersey will ever consider adopting, so we don't close roads fully?
No, it depends on the like traffic volume for each road. If this road serve like 500, around 5,000 like ADT, and then another one is for the construction time. If you like say half like the alternative staging, we have like say half of the bridge, but only can maintain one-way traffic.
No, you didn't listen to me, sir. You put a temporary traffic light at each end, and you alternate traffic. So you turn the light green, traffic goes northbound. After a minute, the light turns red, traffic southbound goes. It works phenomenal. I see it all the time throughout New York State. Take a ride, check it out.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen them on up in New York and
Yeah.
rural areas. We could do that, but it would take a lot longer, that's all. When you shut the bridge down, the contractor can do the whole bridge at the same time, all at once. Once you add the signals, you can only do the bridge in halves.
Yeah,
So it's going to take longer.
but you maintain traffic flow.
That's the trade-off.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Not from me.
Michael?
Okay, I have a few areas of question. I saw that there was an estimate of the number of vehicles per day. Is there any estimate of the number of pedestrians? I'm concerned about the pedestrian impact. You know, we do have a residential neighborhood there. I don't know if people walk from there to the mall. It's certainly possible.
You walk from Center Bridge.
Okay, that's what I thought. Now, I guess the detour for them is, because again, I don't think too many people are walking from the school. I don't know that's a realistic thing, but, you know, like from the post office, which is near there, and the residential area around there, looks to me like the new route is a little longer, not necessarily that much longer. That's just my perception. But do we have any idea the number of pedestrians that use that, you know, either a specific number or yes, it's a very usual occurrence, or no, it doesn't happen very often?
We do not have specific counts for pedestrian on that, at that location of Prince Rogers. However, considering there is an existing sidewalk on the Prince Rogers, we believe that pedestrians are crossing Prince Rogers Avenue, and as you mentioned, to go to Bridgewater Commons. And that's the reason we are providing a pedestrian detour through North Bridge Street, considering that it has sidewalks.
Okay. So there was also conversation about, I guess, option two, there would still be pedestrian access, but not while construction is active. Did I hear that correctly?
No, so when the construction is active, it would have a pedestrian access, yes. So the second option gives an option to have a pedestrian access throughout construction.
All the time?
All the time, but
So-
that would lengthen the construction time from 13
Okay.
months to 18 months.
Understood. So overnight when nobody's working or during the day while people are working, there will be pedestrian access?
Yes,
Under that option two that takes the 18 months?
yes.
Okay. Looking at this detour, you're proposing people walking through private land. You know, the office building, the Marriott property, you know, is that permitted? Do you have to get the permission of those owners? I don't think those are public roads.
Panone is questionable because when PSE&G came in to do their substation upgrade, there was a lot of discussion about Panone, but what you're actually walking down Panone, which does have a sidewalk on the one side, but then you're entering the office complex, which is private property. I would assume you've obtained an easement from that landowner for the detour?
So this is our preliminary plan that we have proposed to show the township, but we would look into the ownership of where the detour goes through.
I guess-
And have the design.
Yeah, we can't approve a pedestrian walkway across private property unless you have an easement.
We will look into it and get back to you guys.
And what happens if they say no? What's backup plan?
We also have an alternative staging plan for the pedestrians through the Prince Rogers Bridge during construction.
If it's a full closure, under option 1.
Under option 1, that's the reason we have 2 staging plans currently. One is full closure and the other one is with pedestrian detour.
My point in raising this, and it sounds like Councilman Ring is of a similar train of thought, I don't know what a private owner is going to say. I mean, if someone's walking through your property, does that introduce incremental risk and slips and falls and having to maintain it during winter time? I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that was raised.
Those are all very valid points, Councilor.
Okay.
We will note that. Thank you.
Okay. There was mention that the bridge, there was sewer utility infrastructure. I know you showed the gas main. You showed the utility pole, I guess electric or whatever's on there. You'd made mention, but I didn't see specifics about sewer, your commentary. There was sewer utility infrastructure.
Yeah, so sewer utility,
Means storm sewer on the Prince Rogers Road, which is intersection with was it the Commons Way? There is a couple of inlets there, and then is in the east side there is one inlet on the Prince Rogers Road Avenue. Yeah, the sewer is storm sewer, not
Okay. So you're not you. The water is going from this location into our sewer. We don't have any infrastructure along this bridge.
on Prince Rogers Road. It's a corner with the Commons Way.
Okay, but I mean, this is for stormwater. This is
Yes,
not
yes, this is storm sewer.
not
It's not-
transmitting anything else that is typical of our sewer utility.
It didn't change the runoff pattern. It's existing, just the name, okay, because you are facing the part of the Prince Rogers Avenue.
Okay. Conversation with township officials occurred in 2018. That was not only a long time ago, but we've had multiple different police chiefs and command structures since that time. Has our current police chief and our current command structure been brought up to speed since 2018?
Yes.
Were they involved?
The chief was a participant. I think he was or someone from traffic safety for the meeting back in April.
Okay, I just want to be sure that's a difference from 2018.
Right, maybe Kevin was, yeah. Sergeant Florzak was.
Okay, all right, a few other areas.
Michael, I'm sorry, while we're on this slide, may I?
Go ahead.
Is the orange area, is that like the intended where the barricades are going to be closing the roads?
For the second,
For this slide right here?
yes. So barricades to be closed, meaning, are you asking if those the limits?
So if I'm coming from North Bridge Street, how far am I going to be able to drive down Prince Rogers? I.e., if you look coming from North Bridge Street, it would be on the left-hand side here, you'll see Federal Drive. Federal Drive actually goes into a parking complex for our baseball fields. And if this is closed for 11 months, we'll
Accessing the upper fields.
accessing the upper fields, and parking is a challenge on certain days as it is in that area. I just want to make sure, is Federal Drive going to be accessible for 11 months? It is. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And that is, a complex that's managed by Bridgewater Baseball, Softball. So certainly being in coordination through us or directly to them, because that that road, for lack of a better phrase, does access a secondary parking lot and two of the fields, right? Field 4 and Field 5.
That parking lot is also used by mall employees during the holiday season.
All right, well, I was going to ask that next. I presume there's been considerable conversation, or there will be considerable conversation with the mall?
In point of fact, I believe the mall rents those parking lots for their employees, who then have to walk over the bridge to get to work. That has historically,
They used to do a shuttle, but they're not going to be able to walk across the bridge.
They're going to need to do a shuttle, otherwise it's going to take people a heck of a long
I guess the
time.
question is, somehow they got to get there.
I think one of the things that needs to be done before this project starts is a meeting with the mall, as well as all of the shop owners in Prince Rogers.
In
Bridgewater
the
baseball.
little strip mall. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because they will be significantly impacted, which I'm jumping around here, but it leads to my next question. If this is going to be for 13 months, for 18 months, that's a long time. Most people are going to see it, understand it, avoid it, figure out a workaround. I mean, do you find that natural human driving behavior is people are going to kind of figure out, okay, you know what, I thought I was going to go to the post office and I'm going to go to the mall, but guess what? I'm going to do those as two different trips. I'm going to do them different days. Do people's behaviors change because of a long-term closure like this? I mean, that's a speculative question, but I mean, I'll just use myself as an example. If I was going to do a little loop and I was going to go to the mall and I was going to the post office, and now you can't get from one to the other, I might be like, you know what, I'm just going to do the mall now, and I'm going to go by the post office this afternoon when I do something else on 22. Will you see a diminishment of this motion when it's not possible? Because people will just simply do something else, or they'll go to a different town's post office, or, something like that.
I would think that every construction would have a minor impact on the community, and this is one of the ones that you're talking about, Councilman. And our major goal is to have a safe construction site, and this would be a concern, yes, but it would be for any construction site within the residential area, or maybe it's something like this, which is near a big mall complex.
All right. This bridge was built in 1963? All right. So we got about 50 years, a little over 50 years out of it. Is that what may have been expected at the time of construction for a bridge like this? Did the taxpayers in New Jersey get their money's worth? This was an inevitable thing? I mean, nothing lasts forever. Is 50 years out of a bridge like this good life?
I would like to hand over to our structural guys who can explain the life cycle.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need like a massive, disposition, about, structural steel and everything. Just in general, did we get our money's worth out of a 50-year bridge?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but the standard life cycle of any bridges would be, I would say, around 70 to 75. Yeah.
Yes, so the bridge deck, so the top surfacing that we're looking to replace, the design life for that is typically about 30 years, so you got 50 plus years out of it, but you can see it's been patched quite a bit. It's at the end of its life, essentially.
Okay, but just to be clear, because we don't want to create panic on the streets of Bridgewater, between now and when this bridge is shut down at the end of 2026, it's still safe to drive, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a sense, once this work is done, is that, what's the lifespan of that new bridge?
Well, the bridge deck, as I mentioned, is the design life for a bridge deck is typically about 30 years. In reality, you can get a little bit more of it, but that's the design life for that. At that point, we would assess whether it makes sense to replace the full superstructure at the next point in its life cycle for any sort of major work, whether it makes sense to replace the superstructure or even replace the entire bridge. But at this time, it's only appropriate, the determination was made that it's appropriate to just replace the bridge deck and maintain the existing beams and so forth.
All right, but the second time this happens with many different people on this dais, it might need to be a bigger job.
I can't say for sure, but an assessment would be made at that time.
All right, and then last question. There's talk about this option 1 and option 2. Are you looking for our point of view? Is that going to be, how is that decision going to get made?
So we would like to have, as we mentioned, we have a preferred option that is to close the entire bridge and have vehicular and pedestrian detour. But we also have a second option if we cannot get an approval from township for a pedestrian detour.
Right, but who's, I mean, are you looking for us as the governing body to do that? Is that something that our engineers would have a point of view on, our police chief? I guess my question is, what is the ask?
We want a support from township that township is okay with the detour plans for the vehicular.
I think in order to answer that question, we would need to know, whether it's an 11-month or 18-month, what month are you starting? Because you know what, if it's 18 months and it's going to impact the mall twice, it's very different than if it's 18 months and it's impacting the mall once. We don't have enough information to make that decision.
So yeah, I mean, to your point, like winter 26, 27, I don't know what winter is. I mean, winter starts on December 20th or 21st. Does that mean, not till January? Does that mean maybe it would happen in November? I think to Councilman Ring's point, it would really be important to not impact 2 holiday seasons.
If we go for 18 months?
Under any of the either of the scenarios.
13 months, if you
13
start in
months, if
December.
timed wrong, you could hit 2 holiday seasons. 18 months
Same thing.
is about a 50-50. If you start in January or February, you'll hit 1. If you start in October, you're going to hit 2. That's what the concern is, because, it is a pretty critical link in a number of ways, and just, minimizing the impact, whether it's the pedestrians, the workers, the mall, the economic impact, excuse me. I think that's the piece that we'd look to understand. And, again, if it's going to start in winter 26, to me, that would mean like wait until, I don't know if you guys construct in January. I mean, I guess does it depend on the weather? Does it, some winters you can work through, some winters are so brutal you can't,
So as per the construction schedule goes, and my team, technical team can back me up if I'm misunderstanding them. So if we start in winter, we do have provision of demolishing during winter, and then weather permitting starts when we can have concreting done. And that considers, so we can work through winter, if that's your concern.
You can do some of the work during winter.
So the initial part is demolition, and that can be done through winter.
Okay, but I guess my suggestion is starting in January, not mid-December, would be a really good thing. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm still unclear as to what kind of feedback you're looking for Bridgewater Township based on this presentation. If you have a specific or several different scenarios that you want to represent, I think you're saying if we have this project, we have a number of questions or comments, and I think it's incumbent on the process for DOT to say, hey, these are the options. We can either do this or this or this. And then based on those activities, what kind of anticipated reaction would you get from Bridgewater based on residential concern, commercial, whatever? Because there's a lot of things here. And you've conveyed a lot of information, but let me just ask a couple of my questions, and then I'll come back to that. You talk about changing, I'm very familiar with stripping off the surface structure, basically getting down to the main supports. Now, in some cases, when you do that, you find out the main supports need to be replaced also. Is there an expectation that this job based on the inspections that you've done to date, it would be sufficient to replace the decking and that the substructure underneath, besides the change of water and whatever else, would not need special attention. Yeah, I'm not trying to make it a trick question, but I'm aware that there are projects. I take 78 in Bedminster, and I go over the Bailey bridges, and it seems like they've been there forever. And basically, that's the same type. Now, in those cases, I guess you're replacing entire bridges, and you're bringing in new structures. Is this in the scale of simple jobs versus really complex? Do you guys say, hey, we do one of these every 2 weeks? Is this a simple job, or is it a complex job?
So as far as your question goes about, we are stripping the deck away, so we're going down to the main supports, and that is something that's considered during concept development. And it goes into the life cycle analysis of the structure, whether it's worth it to replace the deck as is. And the superstructure is in good condition currently, and on top of that, we will be making minor repairs on the beam ends, which do have some deterioration, and this is all to extend the life of the bridge overall. So we have inspected the beams, we do have inspections on the beams, and currently they're not showing the need for replacement.
Okay. Has the money been appropriated to undertake this work? Or the thing I want to guard against is somebody gets in there, we strip off the substructure, and then somebody says, well, gee, there's no more money left, so it's going to be a little while until we get additional appropriations. Are the funds there to do this job? When and if you're going to start?
So, the construction, we would have the design work done, but the construction would not start until the funds has been in place.
Okay, and the design is easy. Either you do it or you don't, but once you start construction, you're going to move ahead. You do not anticipate any stop work orders because there's no money in the coffers, right?
So as per DOT's process goes, the fund gets allocated for construction for the project, and then the construction.
Okay.
Why are we having this discussion now if we don't even know when construction's going to be and everything that's going to change?
We don't know what the questions are they need to ask us at this point. So I think I use the term, and Mr. Pappas is going to smile about this, adult supervision. I think we need some help in determining what you are looking for us to help you in the decision process. Now, there's one possibility where you say, hey, we're DOT, we know what we need to do, and this is what we're going to do, and you guys have to kind of live with it. I think you want to make it more participative. You're looking for feedback. You did 7 years ago, but what do you want from us?
Considering that this bridge would be, the users for this bridge would be Bridgewater Township, residentials, and the representatives over here. We look for support from Bridgewater Township if we move forward with the preferred alternative, that is closure of the entire bridge for pedestrian and vehicular detour.
Would you like to have public input at some point and have the public come in and you can go through your presentation and then ask for feedback or provide the opportunity so that people can provide feedback or ask more questions? We want our people to be engaged. We want them to be informed. We want them to be educated, and we want them to know what's going to happen. Because the worst thing that can happen for a township governing body is for our residents to say, I didn't know you were going to do that. So.
For information of the public, we do set up a public information center prior to start of the construction, where we would, as you have recommended us to have an in-person public information center. We can come up here, set up the whole how the construction phase is going to go over all the detour plans, and public are most welcome to come and attend the public information.
I think the question is a session and make an informed decision, and that would include residents, potentially business owners. That's what we're talking about. It's that fork in the road that there needs to be some sort of a session. I guess related to that, in order to not have this project be delayed, when do we need to know which fork of the road we're going to? Does this decision need to be made next week, in 3 months? I mean, when do we need to have that decision made?
So sooner is better because we are in the final design phase. The technical team is already developing the final design plans. If we get an support from Bridgewater Township that they are in support to have a full closure of the structure during construction, that is the preferred stage 1, we can move forward with developing all the plans considering that stage.
Okay, can you just remind those of us on the dais, those in the room, and those who are watching online, we had a conversation about the replacement of the 202, 206 bridges over 22 fairly recently, right?
Yes.
I remember that correctly? The timing on that was like just shy of forever from now, correct?
I would like to,
I mean, the reason I ask is, this is now 2 projects. I mean, this one we're talking about in the vicinity of 2027, 2028. That one wasn't until like well into the 2030s, correct?
Okay.
Because it would be important that as much as we want both of them to be done, I think having a problem over here and then having another problem spot in very, very close proximity, we'd have to be very careful in how we would coordinate that.
Mr. Pappas, you had,
I guess I just want to follow up on the question, a couple of questions, I think, Councilman Ring. The ability for the mall ownership and management to have a briefing, as well as the business owners on that Prince Rogers strip mall. And then follow-up question, it would be Councilman Ring's description of what has happened in other places. And how is that, could that be an option 3? What would that look like?
so can you please repeat your question?
The question, Councilman Ring was talking about in New York State, they have
Temporary traffic light option. Yes, the project's going to go longer, but you keep the road open during the entire project by doing half of the deck and then shifting and doing the other half and installing 2 temporary traffic lights. And the road and pedestrian walkway stays open throughout the duration. And you solve all of this 13 months, 11 months, 18 months.
It could take 2 years at that point, but at least you have partial functionality.
Correct.
Even though it takes longer.
Yep.
And Mr. Ring, just so I'm clear, the traffic light would essentially say, okay, it's going this way for the next
Minute, and then,
minute
yeah.
and a half, and then
Yep.
it's shutting down, and then it's going the other way for the next minute, minute and a half, whatever it is.
I have a suggestion that we have a subcommittee of the council composed of Mr. Ring and Mr. Kirsch, who appeared to be very vocal on these issues, meet with Mr. Pappas, and DOT where appropriate to flesh it out. We're not going to solve this tonight.
That's fine.
Right, and we're not
I
looking
think-
to have
And
unnecessary
you have the most
delay.
skin in the game because you're closest to it, and so you can appreciate the problem.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And we're not looking to create
are you
unnecessary.
amenable
Yeah,
to that?
I am. We're
Okay.
not trying to make unnecessary delay or make this more complex. It's just, we have insights into the community. We live here. These are our neighbors. We know what's going on. But hey, the people who live there, they know it even better. The businesses that operate there, they know it even better. We want to just make sure we're including them.
In that regard, there are some members of the public here, and since we have DOT on site, I would like to offer the opportunity, if you have a specific question, would you like to raise it right now? Come forward. This is not part of the open to the public, which we will come later, but since they're here, we ought to take advantage of it.
I do have a question. So River Road and Piscataway was done in exactly the manner you described.
You give us your
I need
your
to,
name.
okay.
No, just tell us your name and
I'm
address.
sorry. Anda Citroen, Stangle Road. My question is, River Road in Piscataway was actually done that way. I live through that each day of a commute, and it worked fine. It did take longer. So when you say it takes longer, how much longer would an option 3 be? because it could be significant in getting this. I also understand from the presentation that a letter of support is needed. That's what you need from us. So there is, I think, a lot of room to get all of the answers and all of the issues brought to the table before that letter of support is provided as leverage. That's all.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. Any additional comments, questions from the council? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sharing your evening with us and the insight. Could you leave copies of the presentation with the clerk,
Do we have
please?
already, the presentation?
Would it,
And put it on the, and please, I'd like to put it on the website.
would it be okay if we share the presentation via email? Okay, then we'll share the presentation via email, and later next week, we'll also share the meeting minutes for today's meeting.
And who, Mr. Pappas, who is their main point of contact on this project? Is it you? Is it a designee of yours?
It's been Mr. Stevens, primarily Scott Stevens has been, but we've been participating with, Bill Burr participated in the virtual meeting, Kevin Florzak did, so.
All right, as long as there is a single point of contact, I just want to make sure there was one.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Before I move to the, I trust, is the mayor still expected, Mr. Pappas? Okay. All right, before I move to open to the public, there will be a change in our agenda for tonight. There will be the chief's contract. He has asked that his contract be discussed in public meeting, and he has signed a Rice document to provide that support, legal support, so that can be done. So after, let's see, 12D, we will have a new piece of business, which will be the chief's contract. And at that point, although it is not currently in the package, that becomes a public document after discussion for today, and will be available for introspection from the clerk's office. Okay, moving now to item 9. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will be allowed 3 minutes to speak unless there are unusual circumstances. Could I have a motion to go to? Motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are open to the public. Please feel free to come forward, sign in, tell us your name, address, and what you want to share with us.
My name is Dan Mastriani. I live at 941 Spring Run Lane. And I'd like to talk about my property and the surrounding situation. Michael Pappas and I are very familiar with each other. I've been downtown a lot. Spoke to Steve the other day. I'm beyond frustrated. I have a bunch of signs up. They're ready to put some nice brand new streets in front of my house. And let's just say there's a 340-degree spread around me where the storm drain water situation is being addressed. It's not being addressed in my house. And to Mr. Cadilla's point, when someone brings up a point or a problem, why does it take so long? 5 days before Ida, I was made aware of a very obvious water situation at my house because of a simple mistake by a backhoe. My water is being dumped from Mallard. On a dry day, a water pipe was hit, and it was made very clear to me where and how water gets to my backyard. Okay? Michael's very familiar with we could talk about this for an hour. Try to keep it short. There's circa 78, a development Mallard was put through, a bunch of easements were made to nowhere. They stop in my neighbor's backyard, 2 or 3 of my neighbor's backyard, that contain a 30-inch storm drain. Street, roof, Washington Valley, mountain water funneled toward the house upstream from me. If this were any one of your homes, I would imagine this would get maybe a little more attention. Every time, there's 3 hurricanes queued up to come up the coast. Every time, it's a gun at my head, at my house. When Ida hit, again, I came 5 days because of this freak accident where the guy hit a water main. You don't see where water goes on a rainy day. It's impossible. On a dry day, you can see where water goes. This guy hit a water main, and I watched water go from what looked upstream toward my house, which also connected to the whole mountain, and then I followed it to my house. And I knew exactly what storm drain fed my house. I went downtown, talked to the first, whatever clerk was there, and worked my way up, got a street map, learned a lot, and I pointed the problem out 5 days before Ida. I said, this is going to be a problem. This is a problem. And I thought they were doing some new storm drains. All they were doing was a crossing pipe. That took me a year to find out with an Oprah request. That was frustrating, okay? At the end of the day, it's been, to Mr. Credilla's point, it's very obvious that the town never should have done this. It's an old mistake. It's none of your faults. But I believe you're the attorney, Mr. Kirsch?
No, I'm
Who's the attorney? Okay.
He's the deputy township.
I would like to know,
Alex.
are you completely up to date on all the state laws regarding burdening someone else with water? Because that's what you are doing to me. You are taking roof, street, mountain water, dumping it in my neighbors and my house, backyard. That's where my drinking water is. I think we can all agree that's not a good thing, and nobody would design it now. It seems pretty obvious that Steve and Michael and Mr. Burr all agree that we should do something, but all I hear is it's too expensive. Oh, it's too expensive. A year goes by. Well, how much is it? I don't know. Well, it's too expensive. Well, how much is it? How much does it cost? I don't know, but it's too much. We don't have that much money. We have money to do roads. We have money to do this, but we don't have enough money to solve your problem. I was also told nobody's ever going to pave your road until we figure out what to do with the stormwater. Well, guess what? They're going to pave right in front of my driveway within the next week or so. That's fantastic. So as I said before, 360 degree, 340 has, everyone around me has storm drains. They came in with some brand new boxes the other day. They're going to put some brand new storm drains for people that already have storm drains. Spring Run has no storm drains running down my street. All I have is my neighbor on the street next to us from another development's water through a 30-inch pipe that can't handle it. It hits a junction box first. It blew off a 4-foot by 4-foot by 5-inch deep concrete cover. It popped it off like a Lego kit. That flooded 2 or 3 of my neighbors up from me. Then it goes from that junction box to a huge tube, dumps into my neighbor's yard. It churns out an area this big, okay, in my neighbor's yard before it hits another tube pointing right at my house. During Ida, my house was a canoe. If it rained for another 40 minutes, I literally pulled my trucks up to my driveway. I got my Sawzall. I was ready to cut a hole through the roof. Okay? If it happens again, if another 100-year flood happens in 5 years or 2 weeks, that's where I'm going to be, in a life safety situation. I had 54 inches in my basement of water because it pushed in my basement windows. So all these gentlemen are very aware of how pissed off I am about this. And my threshold is getting there. I spoke to an attorney the other day. I said, what are my options? Because nobody seems to care. The town doesn't seem to care. And I'm a businessman. I know 10 excavators. People tell me you can do it $1,000 a foot. That's some quick math. This might cost a couple $1 million. The town should have spent the money years ago. They got lazy, okay? You don't make easements to nowhere and dump a tube in and hope the water finds its way. I've been told if anything gets done, it's going to burden everybody else. The town needs to figure out a way to put aside some money to solve my problem. There's a soft admission of guilt through the town. You pointed out the problem. It's bad. You need to do something. You have about, I'd say, 600 yards, 30 feet wide, where you could do things today. You could dig holes, you could manage the water, you could do things. My neighbor and I offered an easement. It's downhill. I'm an electrician. I'm not a plumber. There's pitch. If you take 2 of our yards, we'll give you the easement to get to the street. I need help. I need you guys to help me. I don't like doing this, all right? I'm a big fan of this town. Mr. Cordilla knows my kids. I know his family. We're big lacrosse people. We love this town. This town's not giving back to me. I feel really let down, and I'd like something to be done about it. I spoke way more than 3 minutes, but I just needed to say this, okay? I'm always polite, right? Help me out. That's what I'm asking for.
Mr. Pappas, could the council get a report as to what the engineering view is on this issue?
Yes, we can. I'm very familiar with the gentleman. He is very polite, very articulate. I've been to his home a number of times. Mr. Burr has. It's a significant issue and one that would take considerable resources both to design and to address in the field. There's no question about it. When we last met with his neighbors, we had said that in this year's road program, we're going to undertake reconstruction or paving of a portion of the neighborhood, the one that is not in his vicinity that has the drainage issue, because, as he said accurately, Mr. Burr's belief is if we pave those roads without addressing the underlying drainage issue, then it would be a waste. And so we conveyed to them that it's our hope that in 2025 we would be able to undertake an analysis and come up with a plan, and that's still certainly the administration's hope. But happy to give you a more formal report
Yeah,
by
I think
Mr.
that
Burr
would
and
be
myself.
appropriate for the council to truly understand it. And thank you for, I'm sorry for the issue. And
I appreciate that. All right.
Just to clarify, you're kind of looking while you're talking at Google Maps, and your driveway's off of Middle?
Well, I have 3 front yards. Yeah, my driveway is middle.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right. Yeah. Your house faces Spring Run, but you got to turn right onto Middle to get in your driveway.
Correct.
Diagonally from the old farmhouse.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward.
Chris Rose, 1725 Woodfield Road in Martinsville. As an aside, let's not omit the Board of Education in your conversations about closing the road. So, I'm here on my favorite subject, which I'm getting tired of being here for, and that's Cromwell. Twice last weekend, the big red shiny trucks went to Cromwell. You have a problem in the arts building, it needs to be fixed. It's that simple. I don't know what the problem is with the sensor, apparently in the kiln area, I guess is what I was told, but it needs to be fixed. 3 of you know what it means when fire trucks and emergency services get on a road. And the last thing in the world you want is someone to have an accident responding to a call in a building where the council and the administration already knows there is a problem. And please don't turn it off. Oftentimes, that's the solution to the problem, is just turn it off. Don't turn it off, but fix the problem. I had the opportunity, well, I didn't have it, somebody else did, while they were there. Took some pictures. The poison ivy fan, or the arts building. That's why collection growing up the side of the building. Fixtures are broken. All it takes is room. I don't know exactly what the plan is for the $975,000 that you're going to spend at Cromwell. I know we're talking about pickleball and all that kind of stuff, but for me, as a resident, as someone whose family goes to that building, the Arts Center, with sadly with some frequency, I'm telling you now for the record, concerned about their safety, concerned about the safety of the residents who are on the road with the fire trucks and emergency services responders, because it's a problem that you can fix. I heard rumor, and we know what rumors are, but allegedly, the fire official has already given the township 6 summonses for the number of times that they've been there. Now, if that, you all can figure out whether or not that's accurate. I'm not going to say whether it is or isn't, but the source was pretty clear. And it wasn't somebody who lives with me. And if that is indeed the case, then it even speaks to more of a need for the council to pay attention to those buildings. Mothball them, please. Make them safe. Pickleball is important. I know the use of the property is important, but saving those buildings is important as well, and taking care of the lives of your first responders who have to go there at whatever time of the day or night or morning to watch an alarm go off. I hope this is my last visit. I really do. Not that I don't mind coming here, but...
Anyone else?
Good evening, Kathy Franco, 766 Weemac Road. Yep. Okay, thanks. Couple of things. One is, I know we had a part-time judge, Britt Simon. I was wondering if he is still our part-time judge, or have we appointed someone else? Because I know there's been issues.
Judge House is our municipal judge. Mr. Simon is not serving currently, and we have another Judge Lenart and Judge Martin are standing in when needed on a per diem basis.
Judge Martin and Judge Lenard, you said?
Lenart.
I'm sorry.
Lenart.
And can you spell that?
Lenart.
And were they assigned per like a resolution? I just don't recall.
No, I'm in the judiciary. Whenever there are instances when there is a
Vacancy?
need for a stand-in for on a maybe for a day or two here or there, a municipality can bring on a judge for a session or two without formal resolution.
Okay, thank you. I just wondered what was happening with that. I know that 11 is introduction of an ordinance, so I won't get into a great deal on that. As far as the pilot, you know I'm against it. But 11A and 11B, I was just wondering, what exactly is the difference between 11A and 11B? Because I couldn't really figure that out.
I'll try to offer some insight, but
Okay.
I'll defer to Mr. Fisher. 11A basically is an ordinance that sets in body the reference of the plot plan of the pilot.
Okay.
No money changes hands on that.
So it's the same property we're talking about for 11A and 11B?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, in 11B, that's the commitment from the developer to provide funds to support the infrastructure that has to be provided within the township in order to support their project.
Okay. So in, I think it's 11B, which is the introduction of the ordinance for the tax exemption, I think it's the whereas number 15, which when I printed it out was the last whereas on page 2. In accordance with the exemption law, the mayor submitted the application and the financial agreement on file in the office of the township clerk and available for public inspection. Is that indeed?
I'm sorry, Ms. Frankel, what, you said the last whereas on what
So I
page?
said, so when I printed it,
Yep.
it was the last whereas on the second page.
Gotcha.
That started with, in accordance with the exemption law, the mayor submitted the application and the financial agreement on file in the office of the township clerk and available for inspection. So is that in that financial agreement indeed available for inspection for any member of the public to come and look at? Juliana is shaking her head yes.
Yes.
Okay, oh, okay. So do members of the council have it as you're looking at it tonight or not?
And distributed to the council, they're considering introduction, and certainly between now and if they introduce it, they will have had ample time to review it.
Okay, so if I go to the town clerk office tomorrow, I can get that financial agreement?
You Oprah it. You can
Why would I
certainly-
have to
you-
Oprah
You can
it?
certainly come and review it in the.
Okay, so I could come and look at it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, great, thanks. Because I have off tomorrow, so that worked really well for me. Okay, next little thing. President Nogales, Council President Nogales, you mentioned that you had received a letter regarding, I think it was properties 1154 and 1164
Yeah,
of
I
US
gave the
Highway
letter to
202, 206?
Pappas. I don't have it in front of me. Yeah, in fact, Kevin Coakley, who's sitting in the back, was the
noticed
signer
him.
of that letter.
Uh-huh,
Two
which-
pieces of property, they're totaling a little over 3 acres, two
But
separate.
they're non-contiguous.
They are non-contiguous,
So they're two separate properties on 202, 206,
yes.
which are like 5 properties away from each other
Right.
properly. And they're looking for areas in need of redevelopment.
Right.
And just by my quick look tonight.
Don't forget, they have the right to ask.
Okay, so
So that's the issue. So they are saying, hey, we would like the township to opine on that and see if they agree that these 2 areas fit.
So, my question is, it looks like these are residentials.
They are.
Oh, okay, they're not commercials.
They are not.
I wonder whether or not these individuals have even tried to sell these properties. So as you consider whether or not these are areas in need of redevelopment, because I know what happens with.
Just got the request.
Oh, okay, no.
I know the names of the people because they're embedded in the letter that Mr. Coakley has conveyed.
Right, but the other thing that I'm seeing is areas in need of redevelopment, then open us up for pilots. And pilots is another thing that's on our agenda. And we know what can happen with pilots as far as what percentage.
That is the first step in a request.
I understand, but I understand.
Let's not get wrapped around the axle and try to solve the problem.
But it puts a train on a track, and that's what I'm trying to say. And, I think that the public, who may not be here tonight, but they may be watching, or they may watch it later, need to be aware that, we have 2 pilots that currently are approved. We have 4 areas in need of redevelopment that currently are approved. Now you have Mr. Coakley coming back to us again. Mr. Coakley's a regular at zoning and planning, and he loves areas in need of redevelopment. I've seen him not only in our town, but in other towns, looking for this and looking for those pilots. And I understand the impact of the pilots. So I guess as we look at pilots, what dollars that otherwise would have gone to the schools, library, county
There
will
is
not be
nothing to
collected?
discuss on this request. It is simply a request for consideration.
No, I understand, but I think
Well,
you're
the
going to be
thing you need to
introducing.
know, and you do know, is that if there is a pilot, the minimum on the pilot, 5% has to go to the county. Any other funds derived from a pilot, it is up to this body to decide how they would be distributed.
Is it up
They
to
could
is it
give
up to the
firehouse,
council?
They could give to the library.
So no, just for my clarification, is it truly up to the council, or is it up to the mayor to make that agreement?
The council makes the final decision as
Council has to vote on
a
it.
body.
But there is also certain limitations once you get into pilots as to, even if you choose to fund other organizations, there's dollar limits, and there's also restrictions on how other entities can spend that money.
So let's say you decided you're going to give the schools 10%. They can't use it to fund their operations, correct? They
I
can
don't know
use
about the
it.
schools. I can give you an example. On the fire district side, there's a cap as to at $150,000 is the maximum amount that I've been told can be given to a fire district subject to COLA. And that money can only be used for the purchase of equipment, supplies, and materials.
Okay, right. So I mean, there's limitations.
Yes.
That then impact, and the other thing is, there's a discount. The whole thing is the area in need of redevelopment who has gone into this pilot is getting a discount.
Don't forget, to define an area in need of redevelopment, there are specific criteria that it has to, and you know that.
I do know that.
Okay.
And I appreciate
In
that.
the two properties that are subject to Mr. Coakley's letter, I have no idea at this point. I simply reported that I received the copy of the letter and I transmitted it and physically gave it to the administrator.
Right, but tonight we're going to talk about what had been Sanofi, like three-quarters of the
that is
Sanofi
true.
project, which is going to be introduced
And there'll be a
as a
public hearing
pilot.
on.
What, right?
Assuming it's successfully introduced, there will be a public hearing and chance for further comment.
Right, and that'll be in 2 weeks or in a month or at the next meeting, I assume?
Probably 2 weeks, if that satisfies the publication period.
Okay, so I know the township is trying to find dollars. And what I would suggest is that the township look at the health benefit program that's offered to the elected individuals of this township. Because I think that, for one thing, you're all part-time. So I don't know that you're really eligible for benefits under the standards of benefit provision under any state or federal law. I mean, it's very nice that we provide them to you. In addition, we provide very generous benefits at very limited cost out of pocket to you. Because for many of the elected representatives, you're covering family. And for those family members, you're paying a small percentage of your salary that you're paid by this township. Now, in my case, as an employee, I paid 90% of my husband's health insurance. It wasn't 90% of my salary. I paid 90% of my husband's health insurance, okay? Now, I think you're paying about 15% of your salary to cover your entire families. I think that that's a disservice, not only to the residents of this town, but also to every other employee of the Township of Bridgewater. And I think as you look to budget for next year, you need to look at that, because I think it's something that is unfair, and it's unjust. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council?
I will, oh.
And if you want to address me on those issues, I'll stay up here. Mr. Ring?
I'm just going to clarify, I think you're making, it sounds like you're making a very broad assumption that all elected officials participate in benefits program, and that is inaccurate information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, perhaps not all, but I believe many, if not most, do. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the council?
Seeing no one, I
Seeing
make a
no.
motion to close.
Motion to close, second.
Second.
All those in favor of closing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, we are closed now for the public. Mayor, you're here, would you like to provide a report?
Okay, thank you, I apologize for being
I think that was his report.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the brevity of that report. All right, we are now moving to item 10A, an ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater amending the R10A single-family zone, section 126-308.1 of the Township Code to permit supportive housing. This is actually part of our plan. This is for final action. We introduced this 2 weeks ago. subsequent to introduction, there was an identification of a defect in one of the wordings. We had two choices. The correction of that wording had to do with unit or lot size, was deemed significant enough that if we tried to change it between introduction and final, that it would violate the rules, and therefore we would have had to start reintroduction all over again. This specific ordinance change is vital to some work that needs to be done in support of our fair housing program. Therefore, we've been asked to proceed with approval of 10A as it is, and in 2 weeks, a new introduction will be placed before this council to basically correct that wording, and then that introduction will then be approved at some point. Sounds kind of complicated. There was an opportunity legally that said we could adopt the ordinance tonight and at the same time introduce an ordinance to change it. And I said, sounds confusing to the public, and I don't want to do that. I would rather do a piece of business at a time. So unless there are any questions on 10A, Mr. Pappas, did you want to make any comments on this? Okay.
Motion to open to public?
Yes. Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. We are open to the public if anyone wishes to provide comments on 10A. Seeing no rush to the front, could I have a motion to close the public and move for final action on
Make that
10A,
motion.
please? Is that a move?
Yes, I made.
Okay, second, please. I'll second it. Unless there are any other issues, I'd like to...
Brief comment.
Yes, sir.
I know I spoke of some of my concerns on this
Yes.
ordinance introduction at our last meeting, and I understand the requirements that the project developer needs to meet with the state here, and based upon assurance that we will have something in our next meeting to correct those deficiencies, I will support this.
I promise there will be.
So,
She's going to back me up on this.
Yep, no,
Pencil
I
in
just-
for the next week. Okay.
I just didn't, my concern was I didn't want it to go into a black hole.
I
So
understand.
If we have assurance that we're going to correct it next week, I will support it.
Okay, could I
For
have a
2
roll
weeks.
call, please, on 10A?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardilla?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Orgel?
Yes. Moving to 10B, an ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater amending Section 126 of the Bridgewater Township Code, adding Sections 126-321.10, titled AH3 Affordable Housing Zone, allowing for 100% affordable multifamily residential development and disabled veterans housing pursuant to the provisions of the Fair Housing Act and any uniform housing and affordability controls. This is another example of our activity to move forward to meet our state-imposed obligation for fair housing. Mr. Pappas, did you want to offer anything else? Should I have a
open to
motion
public?
open to the public for second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of opening?
Aye.
We are open for the public, and we have a public.
Hello again, Kathy Franco, 766 Weemek Road. So I understand this is a new type of zone, AH3. This property previously was zoned as commercial. And also previously, a couple of years ago, this property, billboard attempted to be built on it with a fountain in front of it. This is right next to the Time to Eat Diner on 202-206. Am I correct? Okay. Because, I just wanted to be sure because the zoning board didn't seem to really know where this property was. So after I went to the zoning board, I went home and really looked it up closely.
Planning board.
What? I'm sorry, planning board. Thank you for that correction, Mr. Ring and Councilman Ring. I guess my real question is, since this property is being rezoned,
Yes.
are the adjoining or abutting properties being notified? I mean, I don't know that there's any rule that they have to be notified, but are they being notified that the property abutting their property is being rezoned from commercial to this affordable housing?
Under the MLUL, because it's part of a master plan reexamination and amendment, they're not required to be noticed legally.
So legally, they're not required to be noticed. So unless,
Eventually, when a application comes in, it will be noticed as 200-foot, 200-foot application notice list.
but then it will fit within that new zoning.
Correct.
But they still have to appear before a land use board.
Right, but it will fit within that new zoning requirement, which will make it more difficult for any abutting neighbor to say, hey, excuse me, like, when did you say you could put a 3-story building next to my, Cape Cod? So I'm just wondering because, I'm waiting for a master plan. I came to the planning board in March, and I was told I'd see a master plan in June. I came here in April, and I was told by Mr. Pappas that we expected one in June. When I was at the planning board on Tuesday, I'm being told I can expect a master plan in September. So, but then I left the meeting, but I listened to it when I got home, and I heard there might be a problem with scheduling the master plan introduction for September because of the meetings. So I'm just wondering, I don't know what's going to be built or what's going to be permitted in my backyard. I know right now what's next to me, what's all around me in a zone. The people who are next to this property, and these are, single-family homes, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 bedroom homes, that I don't know that they anticipated having 11 units of affordable housing and 4 units of disabled veterans built behind their property with access onto the same road that they live on. So that's really my question, and maybe, hopefully, people will listen to this. If they're not listening to it tonight, we'll listen to it in the future to understand the importance of paying attention. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to address the council? Seeing none, could I have motion to close the input on this and move for final action?
Make that motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardilla?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Orgalis?
Yes. C is bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $975,000 for various improvements at Camp Cromwell in and by the Township of Bridgewater in the County of Somerset, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $926,250 bonds or notes of the township for financing part of the appropriation. Could I have a motion to open to the public
Make the
on
motion to open to the public for
10C?
NC.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor of open?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're open to the public for any input on 10C. Come on up.
Amanda Citroen, Stangle Road. My comments.
Pull the microphone up so we can hear you better. Thank you.
There's a big difference between Mrs. Freeman and myself, and I forget that. My comments and questions are focused tonight on the proposed financing and several project management decisions that were presented by the administration last month for the Camp Cromwell initiative. I also, as a side note, want to thank Councilman Cardilla and Councilman Nogales for actually physically visiting the property because some time had passed, and I think it's useful in your decision-making.
The weeds are a lot higher than they used to be.
That's true. So my first point is that the mayor at the meeting recommended bonding as the way to proceed with the initiative to kickstart the work. And one of the reasons that he cited for borrowing was the uncertain turnaround time of the reimbursement cycle with HUD. But according to the HUD's online guide, it prescribes once expenses are submitted for reimbursement, there's a 5 to 30 business day review period in which they might ask for clarification or additional documentation, after which there's a 3-day business turnaround for Treasury to electronically transfer the funds for drawdown. So there is an uncertainty. It's a very certain timeline. I don't know what the current township's accounts payable policy is, but it's typical to have either a 30 business day, 45 business day, 60 or 90. And so I don't think that uncertainty about the timing cycle should bear on the ordinance decision. My second point is that I'm still learning about the budget. I have a rudimentary understanding, but I don't think it's a cash-based budget. So for example, you run expenses against the budget while the cash and other cash equivalent inflows come in throughout the year. So for example, that's how you can make payroll and salary, even though maybe tax revenue hasn't been collected yet. So I wonder why we're using this tact to begin the initiative, instead of what I'm more used to typically seeing is that a discrete sub-budget would be created under the capital improvement overall budget, using the line item budget that was in the application, run the expenses against that, again, while the reimbursement cycle is ongoing. So I'm not sure why, again, that option is not being put forth. Third, the funding agreement expressly prohibits use of the funds presented in the line item budget for anything besides those items. Interest payments are not included in the budget. So if interest is to be included in the $4 million, what would be decreased to accommodate that? And if it's not being considered as within that grant budget, then where is the interest going to be paid from? That wasn't clear during the presentation or the discussion. And to the prior authorization point, yes, we can request from HUD to rebudget funds within the budget, the original budget. But again, we need prior authorization before we do any changes. So for example, the mention of pickleball courts, not included in the original presentation, the project scope, nor the budget, would need prior authorization to make that modification. So I was concerned about that aspect of it. The fourth is the amount. So when you look at the scope of work in the budget, the bulk of the work is logical. It's on those 4 buildings that are currently on the property, needing similar work, roofing, exterior, interior, et cetera. Another component of the budget is the ADA accessible playground, and then things like the pole barn, refurbishing the basketball courts, exterior lighting, security, et cetera. So it's not clear to me why we're starting with the smaller line item budgets. The justification was to open it up to the public that much sooner, which is a nice thought. The trails are basically being used now. Bicyclists routinely use the connection with the adjacent county parkland to access those trails. And my concern is that with earlier public access before the buildings are worked on, might expose them to further vandalism, further weather exposure, and increased costs to renovate. And it wasn't clear exactly when that was going to happen. To Councilman Ring's question at that meeting, when asked about sort of getting a project overview, that was not available to us. The ADA accessible playground is the single largest budget item, but there was no mention of when or where that would be placed on the property vis-a-vis the other existing assets. And it's hard to assess by the time we get to that, will we be able to do it? The project period is actually 8 years, not 10 years, and began last August. So we have about 7 years left with that funding to actually use it. And I wanted to be sure that was made clear. And finally, again, the lack of a community oversight or advisory committee is very disappointing. I think that, as the mayor said, there are a lot of groups and organizations who are interested in this, who could help us, and yet they don't have a seat at the table. And I don't think we need 7 years to do this. I'm hoping we don't need, but we do need, I think, a better and coherent, more thorough understanding of the financing, how we're going to use the federal financing, and a sequencing to the project so that we can all be on the same page. I mean, I'm not voting on this tonight, you are. And I'm hoping that you have enough information and answers to these questions to make an informed decision. Thank you.
Mr. Council President, I can answer a few of the questions on, I tried to track them, so I hope I don't miss anything, but when it comes to budgeting, we're not allowed by law, you're correct, we don't use a cash basis, we're not allowed to. So when we do our budget, we have to anticipate revenues, and there's some statutes on when we can and can't do it. I think we mentioned
The funding agreement basically is that.
Yeah, but it's not sufficient enough for purposes of showing that it's coming, showing that we can put it into the budget. And the other problem with that, it's not just budgeting, it's you have to have $1 million, essentially sitting around, because we can't enter into a contract. So let's say we have an engineering company, right? So the first phase of this is engineering, which will answer some of the questions about exactly where does this go and how do you do that, right? So if there's a contract, let's just say it's for $200,000 with an engineering company. In order for us legally to enter into the contract, we have to have the money, and then we also have to be able to pay it out and then get it back, which means we have to put in $200,000 into our budget, which means we have to either raise taxes for that, or we have to cut somewhere else. So if we had $1 million or $500,000 that was extra in the budget, well, then we could theoretically pay cash, not have to bond, pay cash and get reimbursed. If we had the money, to put that money in there would mean we'd have to raise taxes in order to have that extra money in there.
Well, how does that work, for example, for snow removal, where you can budget an item, but you can't necessarily anticipate that that budget line will be covered?
Oh, so there's two parts to it. So
Yeah,
theoretically,
yeah.
we could have said in January, we're going to put in $1 million into our budget, made our budget $1 million higher with whatever ramifications that meant, or cut $1 million somewhere else, raise the budget $1 million. And then if we wanted to, we could have paid out of that money that we raised from taxes, pay for these items. With something like snow removal, we estimate based on past history, and we say we're estimating that this is the cost. If it goes over, then in November, we can shift money around and say, well, snow removal was over, but HR was under, or some other program was under. Snow removal is also not the best example because there's a special fund that we are able to put money aside every year. That's a separate trust fund just for snow removal to cover those expenses. But I get your point in terms of every item we do is we best.
In this case, right, that example
Right.
refers
But
to the
I get what you're
operating
saying,
budget,
yeah.
but this is a capital improvement, and there's
Correct.
a separate capital improvement.
Correct, which is why, so like in our capital improvement line item, you asked about interest, we have an item in our budget that covers interest on capital improvements. So we have debt line, we have debt items, we have interest items, you can see the different categories there. So within our budget, we can, as long as it's in the budget, if items are already in there, then we can pay out from that budget. Every single item, every single expense is not identified down to the penny when we pass a budget. It's it's the best estimate. So if the line item's there, we can spend money out of it. Here, we don't have $975,000 that's baked into the budget that we can draw from in order to pay out these expenses because we won't have the money to show on the contract.
So you have a capital improvement budget, and you just described you can pay the interest for this kind of situation from that fund?
Well, from the debt payment fund in the
Debt
budget.
payment fund. How much are you estimating the interest on this is going to be?
I don't know off the top of my head.
You have no
Depends on
idea?
it depends on what the ultimate rate is, and it depends on the timing of when we actually borrow the money.
So has Debt Council provided you any input on that?
They have somewhere, I don't have it, but it's in front of me right now. But when it goes to, so with the interest payments, you have two options. So remember, this is just an authorization to bond. So once it gets passed, there's a notification period, all that stuff. At some point, we'll actually bond for it. So we actually get the money.
Right.
So let's assume that occurs, I don't know, October or November. So for this year's budget, whatever that interest rate is, that amount of interest is only for those 2 months. Now, if within our budget, if that interest can be paid out of the line items that's already there for interest on debt, we can just pay it. If it's more, let's just assume we had $100,000, budgeted, and now we have an extra $25,000 of interest that we didn't plan on. Then we would look at the other items in the budget that were under, and in November or December, there would be a resolution. You'll see, we do it every year, just budget items back and forth. So every November, December, you will see this budget was over, this budget was under, and we transfer back and forth. So we can do that to cover those kind of expenses for a month or two based off of what this would be. What we don't have is $975,000 to pay cash.
Thank you. Thank you for your very insightful questions.
John Arcola, 1110 Washington Valley Road. I noticed in the ordinance it says bond or a note. Is there any determination made? I mean, bonds would go for approximately 20 years?
Yeah, it'll probably be a
project?
note. What we typically do is use notes when it's going to be short term.
Right.
And then sometimes we float those for a second year. It depends on the interest rates and what bond council
So
recommends.
it's probably going to be a note. right?
Likely notes on this. That would be if everything goes, with federal government, you never know, but if everything goes as expected,
Yeah.
we put it out, we get the money back. We don't need to do it to permanent financing.
And this will probably continue as you're running off the federal funds then?
Yes.
Separate.
Yeah,
Okay,
that'd be an expectation.
thank you.
It's a rolling process. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, could I have a motion to close public input and move for final action, please?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Second.
Roll call, any other comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardilla?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Argalas?
Yes. All right, moving to introduction of ordinances. 11A, an ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater, County of Somerset, New Jersey, approving an application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement, also known as a payment in lieu of taxes pilot, with AR Bridgewater Urban Renewal LLC. Now, I'm not sure who the spokesman is going to be, whether it's going to be the mayor, the administrator, or the attorney.
Yeah, I give, just briefly, this is, we've talked about, so we did a presentation on this I guess maybe a couple months ago now, with regard to the pilot, which is for the Bridgewater Urban Renewal, or formerly Center of Excellence property. As we went over at that meeting with our bond counsel, Mr. Jessup, outlining all of the finances that go with this. This will be ultimately a financial benefit to the township. One of the issues that I mentioned publicly at that meeting, which was the way a pilot works from a timing standpoint, is that it's once the CO gets done, so there's a period in between now and when the pilot payments kick in, as opposed to just property taxes, which is what they're paying now. And we negotiated some compensation during that time frame, which was different, additional to what was initially presented. So it's additional financial benefits to the township, and certainly appreciate the efforts by Mr. Coakley and others for helping us to get that done. So pleased to have that. And 11B is related to, they're both together on A and B.
The agreement is very insightful. It covers a lot of ground. This has been a complex process. It's been and it will continue to be somewhat complex for the next couple of years until fruition. But this is an introduction in terms of over the next couple of weeks, if individual councilmen have had an opportunity to go back and address the individual pieces and have raised questions, they should be conveyed to the administrator. And as such, a decision will be made at that point as to whether we move forward or make any clarifications. Are there any questions at this point regarding 11A from the dais?
Make a comment, not a question. As we've had some of these discussions, some concerns regarding this, not necessarily with the pilot itself, but more of looking at what other taxing authorities may or may not be impacted by a pilot as it relates to their budget. And this is more of a township issue on the back end. I understand from the administration there's some willingness to look at that and have actually started that process. And I will support the introduction of this, but I would hope that we would have a little more firm, I don't know I'm trying to think of what the right word.
The final decision as to how the money derived from the pilot will be this body. It will be a recommendation from the administration. But
I'd like to see that a little more formalized before final adoption.
Councilman Ring, I think what we'll have is we'll have a resolution. I don't know if it's going to be in between, at the next meeting, there'll be a resolution to address the concern that you're raising, and that way there is something in writing, suggested by the administration and hopefully approved by the council.
Well, we had
Thank you.
a motion to introduce. May I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
There's second by Mr. Cardilla. If there are no other questions, could I have a roll call, please, on introduction of this ordinance?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordella?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Orgalis?
Yes, and can you make your statement?
Final action is scheduled for September 4th at 7:30 p.m. here in the municipal courtroom. Public inspection of this ordinance has been made available on the website, bulletin board, and through the clerk's office.
Okay, moving to 11B, an ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater in the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, providing for the special assessment of the cost of certain improvements on Block 483, Lot 17, paren C001.1, C001.2, C001.3, C005.1, C005.2, C006, and C007 on the official tax maps of the township and authorizing a special assessment agreement in connection therewith. This agreement, by the way, has been hammered out over a number of months to the point that based on an agreement where basically the developer is forwarding the funds, as I said briefly before, for those things that we need to do in the township, not necessarily in these locations, but in the township in support of this activity. And so they will be supporting funds on a long-term basis. Did I cover enough of that, Mr. Rappus, or Mayor, or anybody?
Yeah, absolutely, Council President, you got that right. And this is the said A and B go together. So A is accepting essentially the application for a pilot, and B is the actual agreement that A authorizes. It's a two-parter.
Okay. May I have a motion, please, to introduce that?
I'll make the motion to introduce.
And a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Orgalis?
Yes.
Final action is scheduled for September 4th at 7:30 p.m. here in the municipal courtroom. Public inspection of this ordinance has been made available on the website, bulletin board, and through the clerk's office.
Thank you. I'd like to do consent for 12A and 12B. I'll read them together. 12A is a resolution requesting approval of items of revenue and appropriations in the amount of $39,317.64 as per NJS 40A:4:87- Budget Chapter 159 for drunk driving enforcement. 12B is resolution requesting approval of items of revenue and appropriations in the amount of $50,968,043 as per NJS 40A:4:87 Budget Chapter 159 for opioid settlements. Incoming money. Mr. Pappas, anything you'd like to add on? Anyone opposed to? No. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardilla?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Orgel?
Yes. C is authorizing acceptance of the easement from the County of Somerset to relocate a portion of the sewer line onto county property as part of the Headgates Dam removal project at no cost to the Township of Bridgewater. The Headgates dams are on the Raritan River, down by Duke's Parkway, Duke Island Park, I should say. There is a requirement to relocate our sewer main, and an extensive engineering job has been undertaken. This will be at no cost to the township. Access road is being created in Hillsborough to provide ability for us to get to it. A lot of technical details, but it would suffice to say this is an easement. It's not costing us anything, and unless someone has a specific question, I would move this resolution. And a second, please.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardilla?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Orgalis?
Yes. D is a resolution authorizing the waiver of a special event permit fee in the amount of $100 for the Green Knoll Fire Company Fall Festival on September 20th, 2025 at the Somerset Corporate Boulevard Ball Field. May I have a motion to approve this, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardilla?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Orgalis?
Yes. Okay, we're moving to a new piece of business that was not in the agenda. We have evidently, has this resolution been passed around? Okay, I have and this deals with the, I'll read the title. The police chief has asked for an additional year. Is the mayor here? Mayor, why don't I ask you to opine on this one?
So, we have, as the council knows, public's benefit, our chief, the position is set by contract. Well, I guess there's two pieces to it. There's the appointment as the chief, which is a statutory position. It's not an appointed position in the same way as like the administrator or a department head. It's a statutory position that exists somewhat, I say indefinitely. It doesn't have an expiration term, but as most municipalities do, we set the terms of that employment through contract in our ordinance. It's by contract. Chief Mitzak's contract, current contract expires at the end of this year. In conversations with the administration, with Chief Mitzak, we've had, probably gone over maybe 6 months ago now, Chief. It's been a while, but we would like, I think the Chief hopefully wants to stay, and I would like him to stay, to continue the Chief's appointment for 1 more year. There's a couple factors to it. The first and most important is we anticipate that there's going to be changes within some of the other higher level, sergeants, lieutenants, and others. And I think that over the next year, the stability of our police leadership is critical. Chief Mitzak has done a phenomenal job as chief. I couldn't have asked for a better chief to be serving with right now. His leadership has been phenomenal, calm. Sometimes, I'm not always. And part of his job is managing me. He does a good job at it. But most importantly, he's such a great example for the department, to me, making sure that our public safety is protected and our department is well-led is the most critical thing that we can do. And there is nobody that would want to be running this department right now but Chief Mitzak. And to me, it's very important that for purposes of just administration, of continuing to operate at the high level that our department does, that Chief Mitzak stays for another year. And with that, it's not just a matter of whether he stays, it's a matter of what's fair compensation for him. And we've negotiated. For the most part, this is a continuation of the contract that he has. It's just sets new salary terms to it. I am extremely comfortable with the contract and recommendation that's been made. Compared to what other towns pay our chiefs of police, I'm glad that Chief Mitzak, is with us for so long that he's not looking, not able to move to some of the other departments, because for a town our size, with the quality of our department, we get an extreme value from Chief Mitzak, and I'm glad he didn't drive a harder bargain, because to me this is real value for the township. So this has been, I know, discussed a little bit over the past couple weeks, and knowing what's coming over the next couple months with anticipated retirements, you never know for sure, but with the anticipated retirements, is absolutely critical to me and critical to the police department's operation, that we make sure that we have our chief in place for the next year, and I'm recommending that council consider the contract that's been presented, and there's a resolution tonight, a simple resolution that says we agree to the contract. And so, I know this is a closed session, but obviously because it's, there's a
No,
rights
it's not
notice.
closed
rights-
session.
What's that?
We're in open session.
Right, no, I know
Yeah.
that, but I'm saying, it was on the agenda, it said, personnel, this discussion was asked to be in open session under the rights notice provisions, which every employee has. So, that's.
So,
What is the status? I question the accuracy of the calculation for the daily rate. It seemed to be based on a 10-hour day, and all of the correspondence indicates the chief, as an administrative office, is 8 to 4, 5 days a week. Therefore, the multiplier should be 8 instead of 10.
Yeah, so a couple things, Council President. That calculation is what is in his current contract. I believe it mirrors the SOA contract. But the other part of this is, while the chief may not be doing a 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. shift, I don't know what the night shifts are, but I can tell you, right, it's 7:30, 9:42 at the moment. The chief is here, as he is in almost every council meeting, and there's a lot of items that are outside of his 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 schedule that he's not compensated for in the same way, because it's a position at his level. But you're correct, it's a 10-hour calculation.
So we have a flawed calculation, but we say because of other things, we're allowed it to continue.
It's not flawed, that was what was negotiated both in this prior contract and with some of the other.
Yeah, but it was wrong it's wrong in this year's contract, and it'll be wrong in next year's contract.
I think part of that, though, is you have to also go back and look, what you're referring to on your calculations is based upon banked time, okay?
But you can't bring up the issue and say the bank time, the calculations are always based on the rate at the end of the service term. So
you bring up the comment about bank time. Part of that is, over the years, we have transitioned from one police schedule to the current Pittman schedule.
I understand.
And you have to look at the time when some of those days were accumulated, his pay was based upon a 10-hour day.
I understand, but the contract in terms of retirement time is at the day of retirement. That's where the calculation is done. And well, I'm concerned because the resolution that has been handed to me has not been socialized within the council, so nobody's seen it. So if you're prepared to vote on a resolution you haven't seen, has everybody seen the contract?
Yes.
I've read it.
Yes.
Has everybody read it?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that's embedded in that contract is a 2.5% raise, which I will support, but an additional supplemental 2.5% in July, which at the end of the year is a 5%, which drags along every other bargain for person in this township is going to say, the chief got 5%, I want 5%. That's it. And we're silent on that. Nobody wants to. This is like the mad ant in the attic. He's a good chief, does a good job. But in terms of this, so what is the pleasure of the? It wasn't on the agenda. You don't have a copy of the resolution. Do you want to vote on it tonight, or do you want to place it on the agenda as the first item next week for the resolution and the contract?
You're looking basically for a resolution to, I don't, listen, regardless.
Let's hear from the mayor first.
So my ask is for the council, if there is support from a majority of the council for the contract, my ask is that we vote on it tonight. The resolution just says, we don't even need a written resolution. You've seen the contract, so it could be an oral one, but the resolution is simply to accept the contract as per all discussion that we've had. That is my preference because as we turn the page into September, I think there are dominoes that fall with regard to other decisions that are from other folks in the department, and I want to make sure that we're not continuing this discussion or there's any uncertainty at all about the status of our chief's continuation into.
Okay.
Obviously, though, I don't have a vote, so that's my ask, but it's up to the council.
I will make a motion to approve the chief's contract based upon the discussions that we've had.
Is there a second?
Well, I'll second, but I would like some further discussion.
Go ahead.
So I will agree with the sentiments that John Mitzak has been and will continue to be an outstanding chief at the right time, in the right place. And that's the reason why I believe that continuing this one additional year into calendar year 2026 is a win-win for everybody. I wanted to just acknowledge that during the day today, there have been some exchanges of numbers to make sure that, we are all aligned on this so that we can make an informed vote. And I guess my question to Mr. Pappas is the latest numbers that we talked about this afternoon, are those in fact accurate? Okay, thank you. As far as timing and urgency, I have sufficient information. I will be supporting this, but it does bear noting that this was only discussed with the council for the first time 2 weeks ago. And in the last 2 weeks, we've been engaged. We've asked some questions. We've gotten some answers. And I am prepared, to vote, but in an ideal world, perhaps we would have been having this conversation a little bit earlier. I think by the time this came to council, we've expedited this considerably. I guess my two questions though is, Mr. President, would you read the resolution before we vote on it?
I made a verbal resolution, so.
I'll be happy to
Okay.
read the resolution.
Well, and then
You've not seen it, so you want to know about it. Okay. Extending the contract of John Mitzak for Chief of Police for an additional one-year term commencing on January 1st, 2026, and continuing through December 31st, 2026. Whereas John Mitzak has appointed as Chief of Police in Bridgewater Township on October 20th, 2022, whereas Chief Messick has performed the duties of that office in a sufficient and satisfactory manner, and whereas pursuant to Resolution Number 24-02-01-057, the Township Council approved the contract with Chief Messick for a term commencing January 1st, 2023, and continuing through December 31st, 2025, and whereas both Chief Messick and the Mayor and Council of the Township of Bridgewater seek to extend the contractual agreement for a one-year term through December 31st, 2026, and are in accord concerning the terms of said contract extension, which is attached hereto as Exhibit A, and now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of Bridgewater, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, that the attached contract extension between the Township of Bridgewater and John Messick, Chief of Police, is hereby asserted to and approved, and be it therefore resolved that Mayor Matthew C. Mensch and Grace D. Najana, Township Clerk, are hereby authorized as to execute the contract to take whatever steps are necessary to effectuate the, that is the document.
Okay, and then my other question is, since we've now provided the public visibility into what we're about to vote on, the contract itself will also be a public document,
Yes.
correct? So will that now be appended in some way to this meeting's?
It says it will be.
Okay.
It's
will
part of
it-
the minutes.
All right, it'll be appended to this, to this proceeding so that the public can ultimately see what this contract is. Okay, I want to make clear that, we, as with everything, we operate transparently, above board, following the law, following best practice, and we are certainly doing that here.
Question, Councilman Kirsch. I made a verbal resolution. Do you prefer the resolution that was read?
I actually prefer the resolution as it was read.
Okay, so
So if you want to withdraw.
I will withdraw that and make a new motion to approve the resolution as read if you want a second.
All right, I'll second the resolution as just read by Council President.
If not, roll call, please, on, we'll call this whatever the next resolution number is. Okay.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardella?
I will vote with a short comment, if I may, please. I know there's been a lot of discussion about Chief Messick's extension, and I firmly support it. I do feel that the discussion over increases, when you look at the benefit of what we are going to receive for the leadership of the department, I think this is a very, very small price to pay. And I would publicly thank Chief Messick for offering to be here another year to lead the department, because the amount of change that's coming, I believe, is not normal. And I firmly support this resolution.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Nargalis?
No. Okay, we now move to closed session litigation. Let's see, where's the piece of paper? Be it resolved by the Bridgewater Township Council that this body will now convene in a closed session to discuss the following matters: litigation, Warren Township, affordable housing, contract negotiations for affordable housing in the Bridgewater Mall. When and if the matters discussed become public record, that information will be made known to the public at the appropriate time. The public is excluded from this said meeting, and further notice is hereby dispensed with, all in accordance with Sections 8 and 4A of the Open Public Meetings Act. Could I have a motion to go to closed session, please?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We
We anticipate any action?
no action subsequent. Can you Ladies and gentlemen, we have now closed our closed session. The doors to the municipal chambers are open. We are in open session right now, and the next item of business is adjourned.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for your time.